begin this hour with a lame duck president choosing to defy not only presidential norms, but also U.S. law, with an administration and a major political party unwilling to do anything about it. Just this week, we have seen this play out in ways big and small, like Donald Trump deciding to flout established law, the law, to have the Kennedy Center also bear his name on a memorial. There is the escalation of deadly strikes on alleged drug boats in the Eastern Pacific that appear to not only have been a violation of DOD's own laws of war, but also what UN experts are calling extrajudicial executions. There is the ongoing interference in the health of children across this country as Trump gives Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. free rein to enact an anti-vaccine policy with a plan in the works right now to stop recommending most childhood vaccines. And at every turn, we are seeing an administration that is running cover for his actions and a Republican Party that, by and large, is sitting by like that unbothered dog in the middle of a burning room saying, this is fine. Joining us now, Norm Eisen, founder and executive chair of the Democracy Defenders Fund and former special counsel and special assistant to President Obama. Norm, as always, thank you for coming to the weekend. So let's use the example of the Kennedy Center. There is a law on the books that says you can't change the name. You can't do any of this, what we saw this week. They knew that. The president knew that. His administration knew that. The Kennedy Center board that he remade in his image knew that.
His wife and his chief of staff.
Right. And yet the board does this vote to change the name. And then the very next day, the letters show up and they're pounded into the side of a memorial to a slain president. At what point will, I don't know, anybody stop this president from flouting the law, whether it's at the Kennedy Center or ignoring a judge's order to not deport people to Venezuela or to turn the planes around? Norm. Yeah, that's a question, Norm. I'm done with my rant.
I thought something else was going to come after Norm. Well, look, it has been a presidency that has violated laws and norms more than any other in modern American history, probably in American history, but as a norm, if I may say so, the norms and laws have pushed back. The democracy movement, and at Democracy Defenders Fund, we're very proud to be a part of that, has gone to court to fight this president hundreds of times, over 500 times. We alone at Democracy Defenders Fund have over 237 legal cases and matters. And guess what? We have won time and time again in court and stopped the president's bad behavior. Whether it was litigating against Doge, we got that first order pushing Musk and Doge out of all of our data at the Treasury Department. Guess what? Musk is out of Washington. Doge, the government says there is no more Doge. Donald Trump tried to tear down birthright citizenship. Every baby. We got an injunction on that. He tried to take over elections. We stopped him there. He tried to close down government agencies, fire every AmeriCorps kid. We got every AmeriCorps kid rehired. He put his cronies in. I'm almost done. He put his cronies in to prosecute innocent people.
This has the makings of a much more kind of totalitarian aesthetic around it, not just the Kennedy Center and perhaps the Smithsonian, but just really across town. So I do think that it is part of a larger kind of consequence-free environment that Trump seems to be operating under. I mean, he feels like, I think rightly in many ways, that there's no check and balance, certainly within the Republican Party. And even if a lot of Republicans might find this tacky and problematic, they're not going to say anything because he's sort of been afforded this kind of non-check.
Well, yeah, or do they think it won't matter? I mean, we are seeing some American people push back. Just this weekend, there were protests outside the Kennedy Center after they added President Trump's name to Kennedy. It now says the Donald J. Trump and, Kennedy Memorial. Artists are now reportedly talking about pulling out from performing there. I think some already have. But does any of this matter when it comes time to vote in the midterms?
I mean, it might. It's obviously getting a lot of attention, right? I mean, obviously it's getting probably disproportionate amount of attention in Washington, but I do think it's part of a larger arrogance and certainly a larger sense that the president, his eye is not on the ball at all as far as dealing with the cost of living and the economy and so forth. But also it gives Democrats and opponents of the president such a massive populist target to sort of go at. It's like, look, we are for you. We are for the working class. We are not, Americans don't have kings, right? I mean, literally, there have been no kings rallies. And this plays right to the idea of literally the imperial presidency that is never a good look for presidents. And usually, at least if they are imperial by nature, they try to hide it. I mean, even like aristocratic presidents like George Herbert Walker Bush used to talk about pork rinds and things like that. Trump doesn't have any of that impulse at all.
We only have 30 seconds left, Julian, but in the big picture, people have different views of the importance of history. People can vote on who the most popular and least popular presidents are. But as you watch what's unfolding, what does it mean for history?
Well, it's a risk to history. The point of what you just said is that we have debates. We look at the evidence, we look at the facts, and we debate what it means. This is an effort to prevent that kind of debate from taking place. And so it erodes our understanding of history. And I think it erodes all of us, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, as citizens, because this is essential to who we are as a nation, the good, the bad, all of it.
Well, here we are at the scene of yet another crime committed by Donald Trump. He has vandalized the Kennedy Center by putting his name on it. And he just needs to understand that, first of all, he can't do this single-handedly. Only Congress can authorize a change of name to the Kennedy Center. But yet he doesn't care about the law. He doesn't care what is appropriate. He's gone and vandalized the Kennedy Center, which is, we should note, the John F. Kennedy Memorial Center for the Performing Arts. It was named after President Kennedy after he was assassinated. Donald Trump should show some respect for that. But of course, he doesn't do that. And, this is what needs to be said. We, the American people, are not going to call the Kennedy Center the Trump Kennedy Center, just like we're not going to call the Department of Defense the Department of War, or the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. We, the sane, rational American people, are not going to go along with that. So Trump can act like a child. He can be a vandal, put his name up on all of these buildings, but it's not going to change what the rest of us do in response to what has been a childish and lawless administration.
Today I learned that the Kennedy Center board asked or said that the Kennedy Center would be renamed the Trump Kennedy Center. That's a sacrilege to a martyred, heroic, historic American president whose name was attached to the Kennedy Center for his support for cultural excellence in America, and because he was an assassinated president who we all mourned on November 22nd through November 25 and thereafter, because he gave his life for our country. And the idea that Donald Trump would want his name to go before Kennedy's or even with Kennedy's is a sacrilege. It should not be changed ever. And it should go through this Congress, who named it the Kennedy Center on a bill sponsored by, in this House, and signed by President Lyndon Johnson. Stop this, Mr. Trump. If you have any sense of dignity and honor, you would renounce this. Don't say that you're honored. You should renounce it. John Kennedy's name stands before all others, and the Kennedy Center should not be renamed. I yield back the balance of my time.
Chairman yields.
Let's be blunt from the start. Trump doesn't have the authority to do this. Every credible legal expert I've seen, former judges, lawyers, prosecutors, has said the same thing. Changing something like this requires an act of Congress. Yes, Congress could rename the building if the House and Senate passed a bill and sent it to the president. But they didn't, because they know it would be ridiculous, a waste of time, and would force Republicans to take a pointless vote that would only hurt them politically. So instead, Trump just went ahead and did it unilaterally, like a dictator. And it's not just about legality, it's also deeply insulting to artists. We're already seeing real consequences. Performers are canceling appearances. While some artists may dislike performing under Trump's influence, the Kennedy Center has always been a historic, respected institution. Playing there is still considered an honor, and it's a major venue where Americans experience music, theater, and the arts. Now that's changing. At least one musician has already canceled an upcoming performance at the John F. Kennedy Memorial Center. Notably, the news outlet refuses to call it the Trump Kennedy Center because that's not its name. After the board added Trump's name to the center, a spokesperson for musician Christy Lee, who was scheduled to perform on January 14th at the Millennium Stage, said they are in the process of canceling her performance. Other artists have also expressed anger and frustration over the name change.